Hello, Philippines. This is Stefan of Lendrigan Games. I'm starting this video off with a small celebration of acquiring 60 Facebook followers for Lendrigan Games. 440 more and Lendrigan could be an F-list celebrity. I was hoping to get this out in time to celebrate 50 followers, but I'll elaborate later why I missed that train. Anyway, I start off with saying hello to the Philippines because of the followers that aren't private. The past 15 straight notifications I got were Filipinos, so I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that 3 to 4 fifths of my Facebook followers are in the Philippines. Yeah, while I'm at it, for simple posterity, here's the state of my other social media accounts. Lendrigan Games has 2 subscribers on YouTube currently, 1 subscriber on Twitter. Thank you, Tom. Nah, someone else. And 25 followers on Minds, 25 followers on Gab. 15 of the Gab followers are bots. But currently I don't care because I'm getting some bandwagon support from them. Hey, this person has followers. Wouldn't you like to be one too? And anyone obsessive enough to actually read the video description will see that I've also joined an upstart social media site called Legion Front. On that note, thank you, Legion of Legion Front, for viewer feedback. The rest of you may notice that this video is significantly louder than my previous ones. Yeah, I've cranked up the volume after actually someone telling me that my videos are quieter than most of YouTube. Anyway, I've joined Legion Front to, just give them a little bandwagon support, and I want to increase the market for social media sites. I don't care if it's called Pinochet helicopters. As long as we get more social media sites, competition will force the free market to sort out the larger problems. As for the current state of the game, I am just so happy to finally be done with this stretch. In fact, I'm happier than Edward Keel is to finally be home. This has been a series of not full catastrophes, but just roadblocks and whatnot. First off, my roommate, his computer was made in the days of Windows Vista. So Windows 10 decided that the parts are too old to be supported. And so we could no longer get his computer to boot up. And so while ordering new computer parts that Windows 10 would accept, I'd been letting him use my computer in order for him to have contact with social media and whatnot. And so, because I use my computer to play music while I draw and code and whatnot, that effectively stopped me. I just wasn't prepared how to manage that. And then I ended up with problems with my own computer. Of course, that the root problem of what started that one was my own fault. Basically, with my newer computer, when I was building it, I had a mid-sized tower to house all the parts. And basically, it was fine for the time. And But unfortunately, I also installed a nice, well, your basic large graphics card. And so what ended up happening is cable troubles inside of the computer. It got constricted because of the card taking up so much girth inside of the tower. So one thing led to another, and one and motherboard broke. Long story short, but the moral of the story really is, if you have a graphics card that needs to be plugged into your power source, you need a full ATX tower. That's all you need to know. Okay, so after that all got resolved, then I got the flu. Another week gone. And then I was finally able to get to working on the drawings for the frames of animation. And oh, that was its own headache. Yeah, it was changing around larger parts of the character than I was used to. It's, with the walking animations, you're just drawing new legs underneath the hips, and the rest of it remains unchanged. But with moving the arms around for swinging the club, yeah, you're drawing over a lot of stuff. Well, it's like I've drawn over every piece of the Minotaur in order to move the arms around. On a side note, though, in regards to having left and right facing animations, doing separate animations for right facing and left facing, it wasn't twice the work, oddly enough. It was only 1.25 times the work for the drawing, because 3/4 of the work for drawing the right facing ones was just getting down fundamentals, having a framework. That was the largest part. It's like once I drew the right, once I had the right facing animations down, I basically just stenciled over for the left animations for the framework and just tweaking the arms instead of drawing them completely. Ugh. And now here we are. As for where I'm going next, now I'm gonna add the head of the club and then fix up the outline. After that, I'm gonna work on the knight. Not entirely certain what I'll do after that, though. Probably try and write a song. I don't really know when would be the correct time, because everything is just too much up in the air and it's a wide open space and so much to do. Don't know when exactly in what order to do any of it. Well, so that's where I am now. Now for the ramble. For this episode of I Am What I Am Not, I'll be talking about Kingdom Under Fire: Circle of Doom, another title that I think is obscure. I picked it up at GameStop for $3.99, so I'm just going to guess that it never became a cultural phenomenon. Anyway, it's a hack and slash game for the Xbox 360 with the over-the-shoulder perspective instead of the overhead view. I don't know whether or not the fandom of Kingdom Under Fire takes kindly to this game any more than the Fallout fans did to Brotherhood of Steel, but just in case they disapprove, I'll be referring to it only as Circle of Doom. After all, sharing a name and a setting doesn't make football and American football even tangentially related to each other, nor does it do so for Fallout 2 and 3. Granted, I'm pretty certain, again, that only 20 other people have played this game, so whatever statement I can make by disassociating it from the Kingdom Under Fire brand is much more personal than it can possibly be public. The basic gameplay of Circle of Doom is to run into a patch of enemies and slap the attack button until your character runs out of stamina, run around as it refills so that he doesn't get bum rushed, and then go back to slapping. The mechanics behind it all, however, are a delightfully Japanese mess. I'll start with everything that affects stamina. Whenever a character levels up, he gets points to put into health, luck, and stamina. The health and stamina stats are obvious, and I actually don't remember what putting points into luck does. The leveling up system is quite simplistic. You put points into the size of a pool and can't change anything else about them. Stamina regeneration is changed instead by equipment. The base stats for weapons are attack power, stamina cost of attacking, and how quickly it regenerates stamina. So an obvious loadout is simply to get something with high power and low cost for the right hand, and keep something with high regeneration to just hold in the left hand. Since I'm used to Western hack-and-slash games, it first felt odd to me that a character's ability to deal damage depends only on his weapon and has nothing to do with his own vital statistics. However, this method does achieve a larger goal of differentiating the characters, preventing the petite elf lady from becoming even comparable to the fully armored knight. Going back to weapon stats, though, weapons with high attack power, of course, have a high stamina cost. And then we have mechanic. Merchants will take any two items from you, throw them into a cauldron, and possibly bring out an item with hybrid stats. Oh, right. The more luck your character has, the less he has to pay for a guarantee. I never did put points into luck because by the third zone, selling everything picked up yields enough money to just dump the entire load into the cauldron and synthesize it all into a motorcycle. Digression aside, synthesizing is useful for inevitably breaking the game difficulty. Mixing a high-tier weapon with a low-tier one yields a weapon both lighter and stronger than a mid-tier one. As well, with some items carry magical abilities, like health regeneration, and synthesizing items with the same magic makes the magic stronger. There are also magic spells to learn, with varying degrees of usefulness between them. To name the few, there's a healing spell, consciously hobbled, of course, by a cooldown measured in Mayan ages. There's a spell that launches ice spikes, and there's a spell that makes your character stand there and clap. Each spell has an associated kill X amount of Y enemies task for learning it, which makes clapping in combat feel that much more rewarding. I probably should feel badly towards having to harvest enemies in order to learn a magic spell, but they're completely optional. And it's a soft enough barrier to learning higher level spells so that it doesn't feel completely arbitrary. Now on to the characters. There's the elf, the barbarian, the knight, the old man, the vampire, and the unlockable character. The elf princess is, well, a standard elf princess. She's unambiguously pure of heart, and she moves and attacks quickly and with little weight, for good and ill. I stopped playing as her when I ran into a boss that regenerated health more quickly than she could chip away at it. The barbarian feels to me like he's trying too hard. Every attack that he does can destroy the scenery, and while I heartily appreciate seeing his claymore swinging make the area look like a war zone after everyone else is dead, it does feel a bit much to me that he punches chunks out of boulders with even a casual jab. I can't help but think that he is so epic, ZF11. It makes me think of the Dragon Ball series, wherein eventually everybody can blow up a planet by themselves. The Knight, conversely, is the anime Berserk. All of his attacks destroy scenery, but his weapons are the pole hammer and the siege crossbow. As well, he throws his entire body into each attack as though he's swinging and firing anvils. Additionally, the ballista can be enchanted to fire heat-seeking bolts, leaving a trajectory path that makes the bullet benders from Wanted complain about realism. Yes, he is my favorite character of the cast. I later found out through experimenting that swinging a mace and firing a hand crossbow also destroys scenery, which made me wonder why an M-rated game includes concessions for children. The knight's armor gets progressively more awesome with each tier, making him look like a mini-boss by the time he's wearing dragon-grade armor, and at that point he's either carrying something equally scenery-chewing, or it just feels wrong. Bringing this back down to a middling affair, the old man unfortunately just didn't sit well with me. One of his weapons is a minigun, leaving me no desire for him to equip anything else. Unfortunately, he gives out upon firing 4 bullets consecutively, and I couldn't tweak his equipment to get him to last significantly longer than that. Yes, he also has a pistol, a sword, and a flail, but the minigun for him is the same as the pole hammer for the knight. Because the option is available, why choose anything else? The vampire is a curious case. In terms of gameplay, he's what you'd expect from a katana-wielding vampire. Quick, flashy, and effortlessly acrobatic. Narratively, however, he is Captain Murphy from C-Lab 2021. Ambitiously and endearingly stupid. Where the knight is everything awesome, the vampire is everything fun. His attacks are spectacular, and I love watching his ancestor hate him for his idiocy. The extra character I have never unlocked, but from what I've seen from his equipment, he looks to be a little less powerful but faster as compared to the knight. You unlock him by beating the game with his elf girlfriend, leading me to conclude that either he's too much trouble to unlock, or you won't enjoy him if you do. Moving on to something completely different, we have the visuals. I'm a sucker for surreality, so Circle of Doom started tickling my fancy the minute that a giant sunflower head spat seeds that grew into weeds, which summarily tried to kill this hero of the day. Overall, the visual theme for Circle of Doom falls into an uncanny valley that runs parallel to Dark Souls' valley, mixing east and west aesthetics in a way that enriches the game with how unpleasant the final product is. Mileage will certainly vary for all of you, but I enjoyed fighting grotesque obese and gibbering zombies that fell over themselves because fat people and stamina sometimes don't get along. On reflection, I actually enjoy all of the enemies in this game simply because they're not status quo. Similarly to how Michael Moorcock's decision to celebrate Opposite Day for fantasy created narrative refreshment in Elric of Melnimene, and by transition, Geralt the Witcher, I had an easy time of immersing myself into fighting not knights, not guards, not wolves, not orcs, not bears, and not humans in general. Mechanically, the lizardmen, soldiers, and wizards don't behave inherently differently than they would if they were human, but for the video portion of the game, I prefer the reptiles. With everything said though, is the game perfect? Certainly not. But like I said before, the Japanese mess is beautiful, and everything I hate I wouldn't feel comfortable with changing. If you play a slow-moving character, it's quite possible for him to get stun-locked to death by archers, and even more annoyingly so if he gets tased. Part of me wants to change it, but part of me also sees it as part of the challenge of keeping on hand the right tools for the job. The elf princess feels too weak for later bosses, but she's not my playstyle at all, so I'm willing to bet that someone else can kill bosses with her. On that note, I would change unlocking the secret character to beating the game with someone closer to his playstyle. With how much I enjoy this game, the reason that it didn't end up on my 50 games list is because it doesn't have any elements that I wanted to steal. I mean, homage. Of course, taking any parts for personal gain would be tricky because all of the parts in this require another jury-rigged part to work, and I'd rather build my own mess. In conclusion, I give Circle of Doom a Japanese Tim Burton out of 10.